Good morning and welcome to this first webinar that we organized for presenting this the guidelines of the project that has been funded by the BIJ. My name is Gabriele Sospiro and I'm the director of the ECEPAA, which is an organization based here in Brussels. And so let's go by presenting this handbook. And this is the structure, basically the structure of my presentation. At the beginning, I will present the consortium. Then I will quickly move to the aim of the project, and as for the third point, I will talk a little bit more about the activities that we have implemented during the project, and then finally I'm going to talk a little bit more also about the recommendation that came out from the project. So without going a lot on too many details, let's move to the who were the organization who participated to this project. So basically, who was the consortium? The first organization, the lead partner, was our organization, and then we had four partner. The first one was Eco de Sur, which is an organization based in Spain. It's a non-profit organization, and it works a lot on training with and social integration. Then the second organization is the Colectivo García Lorca, which is also a non-profit organization based here in Brussels. And then the third organization was Talk France, which is a French youth organization that aiming to strengthen social dialogue within the youth and promote non-formal education. So it's Talk France, and it's based in France. And the fourth organization is the Greek NGO, which is the Youth Center of Epirus, which is based in Ioannina in Greece. So this was the consortium. Let's go now to what were the aims of the project. The main objective of the SCAYP, and SCAYP stands for Strengthen Cooperation Among Young People, was to facilitate the integration of migrants and refugees through the participation of these people in one of the actions of the Erasmus Plus program. The project, SCAYP, has been funded by the Belgian National Agency, the BIJ, which stands for Bureau de Jeunesse Internationale, Bureau International de la Jeunesse. It has been funded by the BIJ, as I said, and the project ran from June 2016 to March 2017. And it aimed also to establishing new strategies to enhance the communication between young people from different cultures and ethnic groups. This was the aim of the project. To achieve this objective, we have set two main activities. The first activities was to increase volunteers and youth workers' skills. And the second activities was to increase communication between youth and migrant association. These were basically the two main activities that we planned during the project. As for the first activity, I'm talking about to increase volunteers and youth workers skills, we thought to develop a networking to share best practice and to create a tailored trust building program. As for the second sector of activity, I'm talking about increased communication between youth and migrant association. Well, we decided to organize a follow-up meeting. We decided to organize a local event to show the results of the project and to disseminate and to talk more about this handbook. Let's move to the third point of the presentation, which won't be lasting more than 50 minutes, basically. So the third point of this structure was regarding the activities that we decided to implement for this project. So we decided to organize 4 main activities. Wow. So the first one was to carry out a qualitative research, and as for this we administered 100 interviews in the 4 countries, in Belgium, Greece, Spain, and in France. Then we organized a transnational meeting in Greece, and actually in Greece it has been very interesting, because also we had the chance to visit a refugee camp in Katsikas, which isn't very far from the place where we had been hosted in Yamina. And then we organized a third transnational meeting here in Brussels, in Belgium, and then a series of multiplier events in each participating country. So these were the activities that we organized for implementing this this project. The project, as I said, it lasted from June 2016 to March 2017, and as said, we carried out these 4 main activities, from which, and I'm moving to the fourth and last part of my presentation, is what were the recommendation that came out from this project. We developed basically 3 sets of recommendations. The first set of recommendation was how to deal when you have to first, as soon as refugees arrive to the camp, how to organize the first welcome, basically. So we prepared a set of recommendations on this, and then we prepared another set of recommendations for once you are in the camp, and finally we prepared also a set of recommendations that somehow prepare those who are the refugees and those who are working with them towards the integration path. Let me start by the first set of recommendations, and what is that? What was happening once we were in the refugee camp? It was to see that was to see how the life in the refugee camp was, and so basically we decided to provide a set of recommendations also for this. Let me start by the first one. So as soon as the refugee arrives in a camp, it's important to provide a general explanation of where they are. It seems weird, you know, to explain where those refugees are, but normally it could happen that they have no barely idea of where they are, and so they should know that of course we are in Europe and we are in the country where they arrive, and then of course in the city, and what is a camp and how does it work. Again, it seems so natural, but very often it doesn't work in that way. So people, refugees, have no idea of where they are and how camp is working and what the hell is happening over there. And so it's important to provide a general explanation of, again, where they are, what is the camp, and how does it work. And another recommendation that we developed was also to explain what humanitarian organizations and youth social workers are and do. Most of the times, those people they just landed in whatever camp. They barely have no idea of exactly what they're doing with what the humanitarian organizations are doing, and what the youth and social workers are, and actually what it's doing. And after that, it's also important to introduce their rights and their duties. It seems again weird actually it's important to explain the rights, because most of the times maybe they don't have the right idea about what they are supposed to do and what they are their rights and and so forth and so on. And of course it's also important to explain what are their duties. Another couple of two recommendations. Another one is to provide the general rules and schedules of the camp, and the potential sanctions for offenders. Also in this case, it's important that the newly arrived refugee has an idea of also the rules of the camps, also the timing of the camps, and also of course the sanctions eventually he and she is going to have if they are breaking again the rules. And last but not least, it's important also to illustrate the possible outcomes of their stay and again the general procedures of the camp. So this was the first set of recommendations as soon as you arrive in the camp, and then once you are in the camp, we developed a set of recommendations also on this, which it's important to develop networks among participating humanitarian organizations by formalizing an agreement. What we saw, for example, in this camp was that during the rush time, when a lot of people are coming in and during an emergency, so there have been a lot of so many participating or humanitarian organizations. So it has been a little bit, let's say, I would say, messy. So it's important also to have this again, that everybody, that each organization knows the other one, so that so can organize something, formalize an agreement, so that can have a smooth running of the activities. It is also important to raise cultural awareness of youth workers and host youth workers, because most of the times youth workers and I would say on the other hand volunteers, they have to know how to deal with refugees on different domains, and in particular they have to know, when we talk about raise cultural awareness of workers on host backgrounds, they have to know about the geography, the language and culture, both of national and local level. It's important to know also, it's important that youth workers know also the background of the refugees. It's important that the youth workers and the volunteers know what their refugee background is, and where he's coming from, which are the problems that he had to overcome before landing to any of our cities. And then there is also another very relevant point, is to train youth workers on identifying and preventing marginalization and radicalization issues among host and between host and camp officials. What we saw in this camp is also that there were somehow, it could also have happen some issues between the refugees, the host, and the camp officials. So it's important also to train youth workers on how to identify and prevent these issues. Finally, I think it's important also, and what we did is to develop some recommendation that focus on integration path. As for, and here we go. So as for the integration path, we developed two recommendations. One again is how important is to train youth workers to help host in improving their skills. Most of the times what was happening is that the refugees, they have skills, and it's important that the skills they have are well known by the youth workers and are how could I say, are improved and again are well known by the youth workers. They are not just landing without any skills, refugees. So it's important also to highlight the skills they have. And the second recommendation that we developed as for this was to raise awareness about the situation of newly arrived migrants in the local communities. And then if we want to avoid problems among refugees or newly arrived migrants and local communities, we should raise awareness also about the situation that we should also how can I say, it's important that local communities know what is happening when newly arrived migrants are just showing up. So they can also understand what was the background of these people who just show up in a place. So again, this is the second recommendation before going to the end. So is to raise awareness about the situation of newly arrived migrants in the local communities. This is it. We are thinking to plan also, some new webinar for the future, and we will also publish in our post in our Facebook page the coming webinar. We are planning a webinar on the new Dublin regulation for January, and since a lot of things are changing over the last few weeks, also on the new Dublin regulation, I think it's important to talk more about what also is happening in terms of Dublin regulation. We are going, to present something, a webinar in January also on this. We have some few questions, and we will answer to this question in the coming hours. Thank you very much, and see you in January, and have a great Christmas break.